25 years of democracy. And the last question that I asked you just before we went to East London was that the struggle was really all about human rights and fighting to create a democracy. 25 years on, has that democracy lived and experienced it in the way that South Africans had hoped?
First, let's talk about the positive in relation to that. If it is about liberal values, the universal franchise, universal respect for human dignity, the right to determine your own destiny, the right to belong. Those values are indeed what people fought for and indeed are being celebrated. What we have to do as a collective is to make sure we don't lose them, we don't trample on them, lest, we become slaves again. You know, I think it's Woodworth who said, men fight for liberty with heart, sweat, tears, and blood, and get liberty. Their children brought up easy, let it slip through their hands, and their great grandchildren become slaves again. We have a duty to protect, to preserve, to promote and develop the values that should bind us together. In particular, nation building, reconciliation, and social cohesion. Yes, we have done well up to a point. But I think it was President Mbeki at one stage who said, the dream of liberation encapsulated in those momentous occasions, and even by that holy book we call the Constitution, seem to be deferred. We don't seem to be realizing those dreams enshrined in the Constitution. We don't seem to be getting it right. And if you listen to what is going on at the Zondo Commission, at the Lexham Party Commission, then you will appreciate that indeed, if South Africans are not careful, they might look back and say, where did it all go wrong? I have hope that we can turn a corner, listening to what is going on at the commissions, saying to myself, I think my people may not want to repeat these sins. They will be more circumspect and more patriotic to the Constitution and to the national flag than a political party.
So what have we done well? I mean, if you take us back to 1994, there are so many more people who have electricity than ever before. We have so many more people who have become middle class than ever before. Yes, there have been people that have been left behind, and the inequality gap has grown as well. But there must be some things, a lot of things that we can celebrate in the past 25 years.
The infrastructure is number one for me. While we're doing well on the infrastructure, then more impetus was given by the World Cup. So money was unleashed, and everybody was willing and ready to put shoulder to wheel to make sure the World Cup becomes a success. I think we've got good infrastructure, even in schools, even in hospitals. But they are getting dilapidated, not well maintained, not because of the state, sometimes because of us as a people. I mean, to protect and to preserve your own school in a village, you don't need the government to do that. You must just know that in education lies the future of any country. It is my duty and my responsibility to ensure that this school is protected and preserved in a village. Right? You don't need to go and hire somebody to protect a school in the name of a security. Something is wrong with us, that we have degenerated to that level where we destroy libraries, where we burn schools. That's the first bit. The other bit says to me, we have a duty to work on the moral fiber of the society. As long as there is inequality, there is no social justice, and there is no economic justice. The euphoria that comes with winning the World Cup, the camaraderie that is there, one would want to tap into, harness it, and build on it. But unfortunately, once the cameras go, many people revert to their spaces, they remain jobless, unemployed, and inequality grows. And affirmative action, BEE, create artificial middle class that gets alienated from its own people, and the tension continues to grow.
So what about the Rainbow Nation that was spoken about in 1994, where all of our tribes and all of our ethnicities and colours came together under this new flag and was supposed to be the dawn of a new era of togetherness? And we talk nowadays about social cohesion and racism. What's happened over the 25 years? Have we gotten closer or have we gotten further away than we were in 1994?
When Bishop Emeritus Desmond Tutu said we are a rainbow nation, I think that was an aspirational statement. It was premature of him to say that. But I think strategically thought, if I make this a rallying point, we can create a society envisaged by our Constitution and our founding fathers. I think it was an aspirational statement, and he wanted us to rally around that. Are we more united today than we were in 1994? Sorry, the answer is in the negative. That I hear a politician trying to denounce and to renounce racism, but using racial categories, that when he finished speaking, the society is more divided, more alienated than ever before. It calls on the leadership to be responsible in the language that they use. You can't advocate for social cohesion but using polarizing categories. It cannot be right. We have a history. Let's accept that. And accept as South Africans, we were not the only people to be colonized. We were not. Many people were colonized, but they put their history behind and took the things that bound them together, that at least can unite and cement them and build a nation, and moved on. We can't keep harping on the past, trying to remind others what their forebears did to us. And when they try to move in a different direction, then we want to blame them. If we want to inclusivity, let's have programs, and the leadership must be responsible enough to be the champions thereof.
All right, so we talked about inequality, and in many ways it talks about the economy. It's had its highs and lows over the 25 years. Really difficult time now. Could we have done better when we look back at the entire 25 years?
I'm one of those who say South Africa is one of the richest countries under the sun. And the continent is one of the richest, if not the richest, in the globe. Poor political leadership is responsible for the misery in which Africa finds itself. South Africa is where it is, not because of poverty of leadership. There are brilliant men and women, capable patriots, who would lead this country to a better tomorrow. But for as long as we don't appoint people on merit, as long as the heart of everything is affirmative action, as long as the heart of everything is cadre deployment, from school principals to corporate world and to board memberships, then forget about South Africa realizing the dreams that drove us on that fateful day in 1994. It's doable, it's realizable, but I think we have to work very hard to make the economy inclusive, to be responsible when we are charged with a public fiscus, to ensure that what is happening and we hear going on at the Zondo Commission is never repeated again. State capture just didn't come from nowhere. We enabled state capture in the name of affirmative action, in the name of cadre deployment, in the name of transformation. It's about time we revisit this concept called transformation. We are in a mess precisely because everybody is an authority, is an expert on transformation.
All right, so this review document, always a good thing to look back and perhaps learn lessons. What do you think this document could be used for as we perhaps cast our eyes onto the future?
It could help, but what is new in there? What is new? You have the NDP. You had several reviews in different facets of the social fiber and fabric of the society. We've had many of them. We've had many policies The question is implementation. It's not policies, not the reports, not the reviews, not even the reports of the commissions. It's about time we pause and we begin to implement and take stock as we go forward, rather than to try to come up with documents that we are not going to do much about them, but just sell them and let them get dust.
All right.
We can do it. It is doable, but we need the leadership that says, let's now implement rather than to theorize and pontificate.
Professor Lesiba Teffo, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much indeed for your insights this day on this 25-year review of South Africa's democratic era. Thank you so much indeed for your time. All right, so from Pretoria we go back to